Hey y'all, welcome back. So for today's video, we're going to be doing another historical doll video, this time looking at Roman ivory dolls. I do know that these are not my most popular series of videos that I do on this channel. In fact, I think that they might be the least popular videos on this channel, but I really love history, I really love dolls, and so it's very fun for me to make these videos kind of meshing the two together. That's just something that I really enjoy. And since I do make 3 videos a week now, I feel like it's easier for me to justify posting a video that might not be targeted towards everybody, just because it's not like you have to wait a whole week for the next one to come out. It'll just be a couple days. So if this isn't what you're interested in, I feel like I can kind of get away with it if that makes sense. But I know there are a couple of you guys who are interested in this, so I did want to still make it for myself and then also for those of you who do want to hear about historical dolls. So yeah, today we are looking at Roman ivory dolls. This is going to be a bit of a sadder one, a little bit more of an emotional one, which is not what I expected going into the research for this video, but it is how it turned out, so I guess prepare yourself for that. Also, I do want to say that when I mention women or girls in the context of this video, I'm not intentionally excluding trans or gender nonconforming folks. It's just that within the context of this video with these dolls specifically, you'll understand in a little bit. They do have a specific relation to a gender outside of just, oh, these stereotypical girls play with dolls. So it is for a purpose, and it's just for me to better be able to explain them within their historical context, but it's not meant to exclude people. So yeah, I hope that that makes sense. I also am like just lightly brushing the surface of this topic. I never go like super in depth in these videos. So if you want to learn more, I will have all of my sources and stuff linked in the description down below. If you want to check those out, you might be able to learn a bit more in depth than what I cover in this video. And then lastly, before we get into it, if you do find yourself enjoying this video as you watch, if you could give it a like, that would be really cool, especially, like I said, since most people, this isn't their cup of tea, so it'd be really cool to, you know, have the people who like it. And if you are just stumbling across this video, hi, hello, maybe consider subscribing if you like what you see. This isn't my normal content, but it's one of the many things that I do here on the channel. But yeah, with all of that out of the way, I think I finally said everything I need to say for this little introduction period here. Let's talk about Roman ivory dolls. So Rome's history itself is actually quite complicated. According to Roman mythology/legend, Rome was founded as a monarchy in 753 BC. After the monarchy came the Roman Republic. As a city-state, Rome was a republic from roughly 509 BC to 27 BC, at which point it became the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, in addition to lasting a very long time, grew to what would then be considered astronomical proportions. At its height, it completely circled the Mediterranean Sea, reaching from Britain to Egypt and then some. The empire fell kind of piece by piece until it ended completely in 476 AD. This is important to note for a couple of reasons when it comes to a video on Roman dolls. First, it's important to stress how old the dolls we are talking about are. The newest Roman ivory dolls would still be around 1600 years old. Secondly, I bring up the expanse of the Roman Empire because it does mean that a Roman ivory doll could be found in Rome, or it could be found in Spain or Egypt, and so on and so forth. So the phrase Roman doll is very broad, and it does mean more in terms of culture and in the empire sense than in terms of a specific current-day geographical place. The dolls themselves are, in some ways, remarkably similar to the dolls we have today. They could be made from a variety of materials: wax, wood, bone, or ivory. The material did depend on how wealthy a child it was for, and many that survived to this day were made of ivory, hence the name. Obviously, something like a wax doll probably wouldn't last the 1600 years plus to get to modern day. Roman ivory dolls had a sculpted chest, often wide hips, and sometimes even detailed faces. But most notably, these dolls had some level of articulation, which I think is just so cool for a doll that old. Sometimes more articulation than current day dolls, with posable joints at the hip, shoulder, knee, and elbows. Those of you who have seen my previous couple of historical doll videos may have noticed the significance of me mentioning that these dolls were for children. A lot of older historical dolls, their purposes are kind of speculated at, and a lot of times they might have more ritual purposes versus play purposes. Even if they have evolved into play as the years have gone on, a lot of people speculate that many historical dolls originated for adults with, like I said, ritual purposes or just some like significance other than a child's plaything. However, it does seem as though the Roman ivory dolls were primarily meant to be given as gifts to kids for them to play with, which makes it all the more significant that any have made it this far, because not only are they extremely old, but also they were actively played with. So it's not like a statue in your house that might last a long time because no one ever touches it. These are toys that have survived literally over 1,000 years, and I just think that that is so cool and had to point that out. Many Roman ivory dolls have been found in tombs, and we will be talking more about that in a little bit. They were found alongside what can only be described as doll accessories, including delicate jewelry and clothing. This indicates that the ivory dolls could have been played with in a very similar way that things like Barbie are played with today, where they could be posed and also dressed. What's really interesting is the shape of the dolls. As I said earlier, they were often found to have wide hips and also sculpted breasts. While they were intended for children's playthings, they depicted women's bodies. What's more, the particular style of hair carved into these dolls has been used to date some of the specimens. Roman ivory dolls tended to be made in the image of what was fashionable at the time, and given that the Roman Empire lasted for so long, fashions did change with some degree of frequency. So by looking at the hairstyles of the dolls, scholars can figure out roughly when a doll was made. I think it's so interesting because it's very similar to how dolls mimic pop culture today. One particularly famous specimen of a Roman ivory doll actually seems to be replicating the hairstyle of Faustina the Younger, who lived from 130 to 175. In modern terms, I suppose you could have called Faustina a celebrity. She was married to a powerful man, was given respect in her own right, and served as an ideal example of a wife and mother. Some scholars don't think this is merely a cosmetic similarity either. It's possible that Roman ivory dolls were modeled after adult women, and sometimes very well-known adult women, in order to prepare girls for their expected societal roles. In Roman culture, girls could be married as young as 12. Basically, if they were able to bear children, they were able to become wives. For most young girls, the only goal they could have was to be a mother. There wasn't supposed to be a dream for them of being politically powerful or being a businesswoman, but solely of being a parent. It's thought that Roman dolls had a matronly figure to exemplify what the children playing with them should aim to become. In addition to kind of being shaped like the mother that they were aiming to become, the dolls also served as a very real physical way to symbolize a child moving into Roman adulthood. It was common for girls who were about to be married to give up their dolls to the gods worshipped in their household, therefore giving up their childhood for married life. That is why many dolls are found in tombs. Life expectancy in the Roman era was not what it is today, especially for people who were expected to give birth before they themselves finished maturing. Roman ivory dolls can be found in tombs of young girls who did not quite make it to adulthood, as well as the burial sites of young adults. These young adults may have not quite been married, or it may be the case that their family members buried them with the only recently discarded toys of their childhood. This is kind of what I meant when I said that this might be a bit of a sadder video. I have done videos in the past on Russian matryoshka dolls and also Japanese Kakeshi dolls, and those did have great cultural significance and still do to this day, but the specific significance that Roman ivory dolls held just seems a little bit more grim to me and just a little bit sadder. In all fairness, not everyone does agree that this was the purpose of the Roman ivory dolls, and I am also viewing it through the lens of modern sensibilities, which obviously would have been very different than Roman sensibilities, so there is some bias on my part there. But if ivory dolls really were made to kind of help children grow into the roles of wives and mothers before they were supposed to, before they should have had to me that tugs on my heartstrings a bit. I also found the fact that these dolls were usually found in tombs quite emotional, not only because sometimes that could mean that someone died very young and didn't get to really experience the fullness of life. That's like the bad emotional side, but the good emotional side is that seeing them buried in tombs also means that someone cared enough for that person to make sure that they were buried with a treasured belonging, and so it's kind of bittersweet to me. While we are on the subject of burials though, I feel like I would be remiss in not mentioning that there has been at least one occasion where a Roman ivory doll may have been found in the tomb of a much older woman. At the burial site of a woman named Calcinia, a Vestal Virgin, was a doll very much like those found in the graves of younger women. A Vestal Virgin was someone who took a vow of celibacy to honor the goddess Vesta, and became a priestess who tended to her sacred fire. If the doll did belong to Calcinia, that could have some very interesting implications about the way Vestal Virgins were viewed in Roman society, and the perceived timeline of a woman's life in Roman culture. However, there is some debate about whether the doll did belong to her or whether that claim is entirely false. All of this, to some degree, is speculation, given that we can't actually ask the owners of the dolls about their experience of owning them. But the case of Calcinia is just a very famous one, despite the fact that it is especially disagreed upon, so I thought I had to include it here. Another way that Roman ivory dolls differ from other types of dolls I've covered in these videos before is that they are no longer really made. The society that created these dolls has long since fallen and been replaced by others. Because of that, this is not a case where the meaning of dolls or the way they're produced has changed, but rather a case where Roman ivory dolls are not something you can really buy now. You know, you could buy, like I said, the Russian Matryoshka dolls, even though they might not be quite the original, or you can buy modern day Japanese Kokeshi dolls. But the closest you can get to purchasing a Roman ivory doll today is to get a historical reproduction. These modern versions are, in and of themselves, beautiful pieces of art that serve to replicate the dolls of the past. So there you have it, guys. That is the video on Roman ivory dolls. Like I said, I don't go too in-depth in these videos just because, honestly, I kind of doubt my ability to accurately do so. I like to kind of give an overview of the topic and then give sources for you guys to do more learning if you would like to. So these videos do tend to be shorter, but I hope that they are short and sweet. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Definitely let me know your thoughts on Roman ivory dolls down below in the comments. And if you are one of the people who does enjoy this series, definitely let me know if there are any other cultural or historical dolls you would like me to look into. I don't make these videos super often, but if you guys have something you want to see, I'm happy to oblige, so definitely let me know. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night or whatever it might be, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys!